in the booths? Can you hear me? Thanks, Lindsay. What about that one over there? Yeah? Hands up if you're here for the candidates debate. Yay! That's fantastic. Thanks so much for coming. While you're here, take advantage of our bar service, if you're 19. So the way this is going to work today is I'm going to moderate it, which means I get to say, stop talking, that's too much time. And I'm also going to ask the questions. So the questions have been prepared with the help of the vice presidents and myself, and some past executive as well. So with that in mind, if any of you have any questions you'd like to add, say you're interested in a specific area that we haven't covered, feel free to come on up and I'll give you a chance to ask questions from the floor as well. So the way that we're going to do this, we're actually going to start with the Vice President of Activities. This position is unopposed. That doesn't mean they get in that easy. But we're going to start with that position just to kind of warm the crowd up. And I mean, feel free to kind of boo and cheer appropriately. I'm just kidding. So the way this is going to work, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. You have 30 seconds to do it. And then I'm going to ask you 4 questions. And then we'll take some questions from the floor if we have them. And then you'll have 30 seconds to kind of wrap everything up. And then you can go mingle and get a beer. All right? So take it away. 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Matt Rice. I'm obviously running for Vice President Activities. I'm a second-year science student at UPEI, majoring in biology. I really think I'm going to be good for this position, so let's get on with it, I guess.
Let's not waste any time, of course. Okay, so the first question we have for you is kind of just your philosophy on programming. So the one-year plan that the student union's done has kind of made a differentiation between the VPA's responsibilities with bar programming and the management's priorities with bar programming. So seeing as you'll have more of an impact on the larger events throughout the year, we would like to know, is it more important to create an event such as, I don't know, Frost Week and have lots of different details within it, or is it more important to have fantastic entertainment and hope that draws people in?
I really like the idea of Frost Week and really involved weeks and planning events that really get everyone in, because as you know, Frost Week was a battle of the faculties, and I really enjoy that kind of idea where we bring in every different group and try to get them all like involved and enjoying themselves. But I also do feel that large events are a great thing to have because, I mean, they're a lot of fun, as a lot of you do know. So I really do go for both, but like overall I would probably say I really do like the idea of Frost Week and student union involved events like that.
All right. The next question we have for you, I see some society people in the crowd, whether you're a president or just a member of the different student groups on campus. So this question is revolving all around student societies. In one of your answers on your Facebook group, you did mention the society workshops that are part of the one-year plan. So what I want to know is what kind of workshops should we be making available to societies? What kind of development can we be offering them as a student union?
Well, there is one that is a mandatory starter for the workshops, I believe. It's in the one-year plan. I'm not exactly sure what that workshop was, but I really think the real main skills that you need to be working on with societies is the planning of events, ways to promote themselves, ways to get out to their constituencies and get people to actually come in and join their societies, join their events, and help them build upon themselves and improve their societies.
Thank you. Pretty tame so far, guys. Everybody hates your answers. Just kidding. All right, thank you. That was very good. We're warming you up. Of course, we're going to save the president for last, so keep practicing. Okay, so we just recently did a student input survey, and without giving too specific an example example, one of the things that came across was there's not enough, I guess, of a variation in our programming. So what kind of events would you like to see that wouldn't happen in the bar or wouldn't involve a band or a DJ? What kind of things would you like to do?
Well, there's a lot of different events that can happen and that I'd like to see happen. Something that hasn't really happened this year is as much as I'd like to see is the dry trivia in McMillan Hall. Because as we know, we have trivia in here every Wednesday, but nothing happens out in McMillan Hall this year as much as I'd like. There needs to be a little bit more dry events involved, things that we can get our underage students into and give them a little bit more of a look at student union events and not just our wet dries that do show up once every month or two.
Any thoughts on that? A boo, maybe a clap?
You guys are as boring as I am.
Thank you. All right, the last question is my personal favorite. Because you're running unopposed, people have the option of voting yes or no. Why should people click yes?
I really think people should click yes because I do feel as though I'm a good fit for this position. I have had a lot of experience in planning events, obviously on a slightly smaller scale, but I do think those skills transfer over into this job, and I feel as though I can really help with the aspect of planning events, as well as working with societies, because that is one of my main priorities, is trying to better societies, help them improve themselves in ways that they want to go. So I really feel as though the skills I do have work well towards this job, and that I will do a really, really good job at this position.
Great, thank you. Yeah, big round of applause. Anyone have questions from that I didn't cover? Any questions from the floor? Don't be shy. Anybody? Anybody? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on here. Oh, sorry, was there one?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Come on up here. I'm going to give you a microphone.
I have a question for you. Could you change the culture of any on-campus pubs to be more rowdy and exciting?
Well, he's an exciting guy.
So far, the VPA and the WAVE have been separated a little bit, so I'm not as in charge with the WAVE atmosphere. So mostly events and more student union related events. So probably not.
Do you have another question back there, maybe? Oh, sorry, we'll go with the booth first. I saw your hand.
What types of DJs and new people are you going to bring to
Did everyone hear that? So what kind of DJs and new entertainment are you going to bring here? I'm assuming that's for the big, larger events that the VPA is responsible for, so go ahead and answer that one.
I'd really like to get input and criticisms from the campus and from the student body in a way that helps us get information on who you want to bring in, just by maybe putting up a few examples of who we'd like to bring for an event and having maybe a poll on Facebook on who, do you like this person, would you rather a DJ, would you rather a band, and I'd really like to be more of a joint decision on what we actually do bring in, and I feel that would really personalize the experience of events and bring more groups in, and so I feel as though it would be more of a decision with the student body and myself as well.
All right, Derek, you got a question?
Now, I'm really impressed with a lot of your talking about organization and planning events. I'm very excited for that. But what kind of engagement will you bring to the student body, getting people not planning just the events, but bringing people to them, making them very attractive, and helping attendance really rise?
All right, well, like I said, I really do believe in the personalization of events, getting the student body involved in not just the knowing what the event is with advertisement and general talking to the student body and making know what is happening this time, this date. I really want to get people to help us actually design our events and help us build our events to bring some sort of enthusiasm, not just from us, but from them. Because if somebody feels like they've helped out with events or had a part in it, they're a lot more likely to show up and tell their friends like, oh, this is gonna be awesome, this is gonna be so much fun. They're gonna have this, this, and this there. Like,
Definitely.
yeah, I really believe that personalizing experience and making people feel as though they're getting more out of it than what they feel they currently are. I feel like that would be really helpful.
All right, 3 great questions from the floor. Anyone else? Ooh, okay, come on up. I've been asked to get these questions asked into the microphone so the camera can hear them. And the crowd.
Is there any area on campus, or sorry, location on campus that you feel has any untapped potential that we could better utilize to the advantage of the student union or the student body?
Well, I really do feel the Wave is one of those places. It's a wonderful place to be, and like I'd love to be here more often. I'd like to bring students in more often. Like it's a lot of fun to be here, and I really think it is underutilized a little bit. But there are also several places on campus. Like we have access to the gym, and I really feel like we could get a lot more student events in there as long as we could work well with the Carey Complex and the Sports Center. So I really feel like we can do a little bit more in there. Is that okay?
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I think we're going to move on to the representative positions. If you do have any other questions, we'll give Matt 30 seconds to wrap up here, but if you do have any other questions, he does have his Facebook group, and you could probably ask him in person, too. He's pretty nice. So 30 seconds to wrap up here, and then we'll move on to the representative positions.
Alright guys, as she said, I am uncontested, so I know this may not have been the most exciting start to the debate, but I really do feel like I am fitted for this position and that I will represent you very well and bring events that you will want to go to and you'll feel as enthusiastic about as I'm going to, as I plan them. So please just vote yes.
Maybe we'll get our all representative positions up here, and then we'll kind of call you up one by one. Also, on a side note, to the first question from the floor, I have been known to make a bar a little bit rowdier with a pint of Keith's. I'm just going to throw that out there. Quite stationary, but the bar is right there, so if you're feeling friendly.
Also, how'd you get elected?
To our representatives.
Okay. Like, am I walking up? Whoa! Stand by the side. I just want to start.
All right, so I think first we will go with our science representatives. Come on up here, don't be shy. So again, 30 seconds to introduce themselves and explain to you why they should be the ones you vote for. This is a pretty hot race, so pay close attention if you're a science student, because you'll have to pick only a few of them. Maybe we'll start with Michelle McDougall. Go on.
Can you hear me? Slightly embarrassing. Hello? Okay, so my name is Michelle McDougall. I'm a third year.
They can't hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Is that better? Okay. So my name is Michelle McDougall. I'm a third year biology major and a chemistry minor. I've had 2 years of experience on the student union as science representative, and I think that is a good thing. There has been a couple complaints that I've been hearing this year that counselors are out of tune with their constituencies, so that's one thing that I really do want to focus on if I do get elected this year, is that I do want to make myself more available to my constituents, whether that's promising one time to meet once every 2 weeks to hear their ideas, feedback, that type of thing. I'm also a very approachable person, and I like to think that I'm pretty outgoing, so I'm easy to chat with, and having experience too, I kind of have an idea of what's... Am I over time?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, you should vote for me.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. My name's Kate Rundle. I'm also a third-year bio major and chemistry minor. I don't have previous experience with council, but I have experience with the new student orientation. Been a captain for the past 2 years, and I am on the UPEI Shinorama committee. So I do have experience in being involved with UPEI. If elected as science representative, I would like to make sure that all of your concerns.
You'll have to go mingle later and let them know.
Okay, well, vote for me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Johnston. I'm a first-year bio major, minor, well, undecided. As a first year, I have no experience on student union. However, this is the second time I'm running, and I think that shows a good quality of myself, that I am perseverant. I want to be on student union. I am approachable, and I want to fight for what the student body needs. As a first year, I think that that can be a fresh voice to the union, and I hope that I can accomplish that. Thank you very much. 30 seconds goes by very fast.
Very nicely done. Thank you very much to our science representatives. These are 3, I believe, of 7. So keep these 3 names in mind, I guess. To those who weren't able to make it today, I guess, feel free to search them out if you like, or have them approach you, which is probably better. All right, thank you very much. So we'll move on to our arts representatives. Pretty hot race, just kidding. So here are the two students running for arts representative this year, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
So my name is Derek Bizzo, and I'm running for arts rep. I have a mantra for my campaign, which is embrace, encourage, and empower. I want everyone to feel embraced by me, my position, and here at the university as well. So brothers and sisters, anytime they ever need anyone to talk to, that's what I'm here for. And I really want for you to embrace this whole experience. I mean, you're here for 4 years, you're surrounded by people at all times. Really tap into that. I also want to encourage you to take on your role as a student to the full potential, and encourage you to do everything that you want to do with your time here and the resources that exist. And I want to empower you to do everything you want to do, and for you to empower others. It's just like a movement with a snowball, and it goes right downhill fast. So I'm excited for the position. It's going to be crazy. Thank you for your time.
Nicely done, nicely done. All right, and on to the next.
Hi. My name is Sarah Rees. I'm a 3rd-year French major, history and psychology minors. I've been on council for 2 years now, and I'd really like to do it for another year. And, you know, I think that we'd make a pretty good team as arts reps, so you can vote for yes for both of us.
Very good. I'd also like to thank Derek for the beer.
You're welcome.
Do we have the business representatives here today?
Mark's working.
All right, well, to the business students in the crowd, I apologize. Hopefully they search you out and convince you why you should vote for them. The nursing representative, we have one lone nursing representative, perhaps. Just kidding. Let's move on to Senate representative.
She didn't bother showing up.
Yeah, go Lucas.
All right, 30 seconds to introduce yourself and convince them to vote for you.
Okay, well, also you don't need to vote for me because I'm a contestant today, yes. This is my second, I've already done science rep this year and I was really enjoyed that. And I just was kind of interested in kind of moving towards something that affected the entire university, although I do really love my science faculty. So I encourage everyone to say yes to me because I think I can really impact our university and make it the best it can be. So, oh yes.
All right, I'll welcome our, I think, one step right up. One candidate for the ombudsman position. He brought a fan base.
Thank you. Hi guys, my name is Brady Sheehy. I'm a first-year business student and I'm running for ombudsman. I did previously run for first-year student council rep, but I didn't get that. So, I'd hopefully like to thank you.
All right, and our Board of Governors representative. We have one here today in the flesh and one who sent a poetic version of himself on paper. So I'll let this in the flesh candidate introduce himself and give a little spiel, and then I'll read out the other one for him.
Can you guys hear me up back? My name is Connor J. I like long walks on the beach, flowers. No, I'm a municipal councilor for my community in Miltonville Park. Board of Governors kind of sets like the direction for the university as a whole. I'm kind of setting the direction for a community as a whole. UPEI deals with a lot of money. Board of Governors does that stuff. My community deals with not a lot of money, but we deal with a fair bit. So I kind of have experience with that. So I think I fit the job really well. And if you don't think I do, vote no. Vote for the other person. But if you do think I do, vote for me. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to do my very best Dana Kenny impression. I'm just going to read out exactly what he wrote to us. Unfortunately, Dana Kenny was called into work today, but he sends a short message in rhyme. Hi, my name is Dana Kenny, and I want to represent the many students who deserve the best, so please just put me to the test. But until elected Board of Governors representatives, this notion is only tentative. Every day I make a point to meet someone new and learn what needs to be done for each of you. Making the university a better place is what I will do if I win this race. So on election day, please vote Dana Kenny. I'm the guy who promises to represent the many. All right, well that brings us to the second most exciting part of today. Can I have the Executive Vice President candidates to the stage, please? I had planned to play the Rocky theme song when they walked up, but somehow it didn't work out, sorry.
It's there normal.
All right, gentlemen. So, same kind of thing. You'll have 30 seconds to introduce yourself. Then you'll have a minute and a half to answer each question that I ask you, so I encourage you to make full use of that time. We'll alternate between the two of you, so whoever would like to be A and whoever would like to be B, figure that out amongst yourselves. Which one would you like to be, sir? B. Travis Gordon here is A, and Josh Bryan will be B, so we'll go back and forth here. Okay, the first question to candidate A. Can you outline the benefits of an organization like the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations?
Well, post-secondary education is certainly falls under the jurisdiction of both the federal and provincial governments. We do a lot of lobbying in terms of the provincial government, the UPEI Student Union does, and CASA handles most of our federal lobbying. Sorry, I'm starstruck by the flash photography. So certainly CASA is very important in that they handle a lot of our federal lobbying, meeting with members of parliament, meeting with senior bureaucrats, you know, trying to better the education, rather than post-secondary education system on the federal front. And it's very important that we have CASA as a resource, as a student union. We have access to CASA to assist us in kind of preparing for when we go and do lobbying in terms of the provincial government. I know Kate and Danielle were out today lobbying the provincial government actually, and they received some assistance from CASA. So certainly CASA is very valuable to us on both fronts.
I'm going to ask the same question to Josh, and then afterwards I'm going to follow my own format and give them 30 seconds to introduce themselves. So, candidate B, the same question. Can you outline the benefits of an organization like the Canadian Alliance of Student Associations?
First of all, I'm a bit of a cold, so can't really talk very loud. So, my understanding of CASA is something very important for us because it helps us communicate and lobby with the government. And without lobbying, government things say bully us a bit. As with the recent HST cut that we are not receiving, we're losing funding, and without lobbying, we push around.
I guess with candidate A, and then move to candidate B, and then we'll switch up.
Certainly, thanks. So my name is Travis Gordon. I think Kate probably mentioned that. I'm a second-year political science, economics, and public administration student. I know that's quite a mouthful. Certainly, I've had a lot of experience with the student union in the past. I've served on council for 2 years. Both years, I've worked very closely with the executive VP. And this year, I had the good fortune to be an editor with Cadre, actually, which has given me a very unique opportunity in terms of being able to look at and analyze the island's political climate. So I think I have a very good sense of what's going on politically in PEI, and I think that makes me very well suited to the job of the exec VP.
And candidate B.
My name is Josh O'Brien. I am a second-year business student with a major in business administration and entrepreneurship. I feel that I am a good fit for executive VP because I'm very friendly. I'm always saying hi to people, and I communicate what I think is stuff. Public speaking is not my best. Apologies.
All right. And on that note, we'll move on to the next question here. And this time we'll start with Josh and then move to Travis. So to the two of you, Prince Edward Island is unique in that we only have one university in the province. With that in mind, we don't have a provincial lobby group such as Ontario or Alberta or even Nova Scotia. So, with that in mind, what's your vision for a provincial lobbying strategy, if any?
Well, I figure that the first things first is we should introduce campus to what is involved in lobbying, and we bring our opinions towards that.
Okay, all right. We'll move on to Travis. Go ahead.
Certainly. It really is unfortunate that, in a way, it's unfortunate that we are the only university in the province. It really limits our resources in terms of post-secondary lobbying. And I think we have a real responsibility because of that to do it well. Holland College Student Union doesn't get as much involved in lobbying as perhaps some people would like them to see, and as far as I know, there are no other student unions on the island. So I think it's very important that we do lobbying well. I think we need things like a lobby document that stays consistent over the course of the year so the government knows where we're coming from, what students want, why they want it, and why it's the best thing for government to do. I think it's also a good idea for the student union to be proactive and put together a pre-budget submission which kind of outlines what the government can do for students via the budget, which comes down in spring, to make lives for students better. So certainly I think that's something we need to do better, and I think certainly if I was elected, it's something it's one of the first things I would begin working on is a lobby document to carry us through the year.
All right, so we're going to reverse now and start this question with Travis. In your opinion, what is the purpose and intent and goals of Education Week?
Well, I think there are a few good reasons why Education Week exists. One is to kind of rally students, because education is super important, especially for the students that go here. I mean, obviously, and that's our target audience for Education Week, rather. You know, it's a chance for us to, with students, communicate a collective message to government and say, we would like you to be doing this. Could you please do that? It's also a way to kind of engage students in certainly what is happening to their post-secondary education. in this case, for example, it'd be a great opportunity to tell students that the operating grant was cut by 3% last year, and that we're taking a $400,000 HST hit, and here's how it's going to affect UPEI, and here's why you should care. So it's about communicating a clear message to government with students, and it's also about telling students what's happening to their post-secondary education.
All right, Josh, and if you want me to repeat the question, just let me know.
Yeah, repeat it.
So in your opinion, what's the purpose or intent and goals of Education Week?
Well, as Travis said, it is about informing students about what is happening. Like, I'm sure many of you did not know about the HST cut that we are not receiving and the cut in the operating grant. And it's about telling the government that we, the students, care about our education and we want the best available service that this university can provide us.
Okay, so we're going to start this question with Josh now. So as Executive Vice President, you are also a university senator, so sitting on the UPEI Senate. Can you broadly explain to the crowd of students here today what the purpose of Senate is and what your role is in it? I can repeat the question if you like.
Not entirely sure. It's one of these things I would have to look up, actually get used to when I get into the position, if I'm elected. But I'd assume it would involve talking about important issues that are happening upon the university.
Travis?
Do you know, I don't think there are many people in this room actually that have a good grasp on what Senate does, and certainly I wouldn't even count myself among one of the people that has a really solid grasp of what Senate does. You know, they're kind of second in command to the Board of Governors. A lot of what they do, in my view, is kind of approving new courses, dealing with general university matters that don't necessarily need to go to Board of Governors, and kind of doing those sorts of things, rather. The Senate is much larger, rather, than Board of Governors. But do you know what? I would actually count myself among the people in this room who need to learn a little bit more about Senate. So.
All right, guys. This is the last question from me, and then we can also take some questions from the floor again. So this one is pretty basic. I just want to know, what can you specifically bring to the position of Executive Vice President? And we'll start with Travis.
I think a lot of what I would bring is experience in general. Like I said in my opening statement, I've served on council for 2 years, and both years I've worked very closely with the executive VP on their executive committee. Certainly, again, kind of to reiterate my opening statement, my work with the cadre has allowed me to get a really solid grasp on the island's political climate and the island political scene. I think, in general, the knowledge that's required to do this job well, and kind of the ability to understand what things mean when they happen in terms of UPEI.
What I can bring to the position is, first of all, I've never been on council. I was an SO leader, and I believe I can bring fresh ideas and new opinions. One thing that I was asked by Connor earlier in the week was unemployment. And an idea that I brought towards UP was expanding the co-op program, bringing co-op opportunities to faculty such as the arts, music, throughout throughout the sciences other than physics and computer science, and I feel it would be a good opportunity.
To the crowd, any questions for our two candidates for executive? Okay. So now we have the current executive vice president, who I'm sure has something to ask. So I'll pass it over to Danielle.
Okay, so as part of your role, as we've already highlighted, part of your job will be dealing externally with government, both provincially and federally. But federally is obviously at our front door, easily accessed, I guess, or ideally. What would be one thing, you know, I'll preface with, there's a variety of experience between the two of you. So kind of giving you an even playing field, judging from your experience and knowledge of student and the pulse and the needs. What would be one issue that you would develop, whether through policy or a pre-budget submission, that you would like to bring to provincial government? And what would be something that you would ask of them to serve your students and your constituents?
Are we clear on that one? So what is one issue, to the candidates, what is one issue that you, I guess, feel passionate about or would like to develop policy around to bring to the provincial government? And I think we'll start with Travis, is that right? Or no, we'll start with Josh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, one issue. Well, one issue that has been a profounding issue across campus is communication. I feel like a monthly update from our government officials would be something that students would enjoy. Yes. And what was the second part?
Yeah, just what's one issue that you think you would like to develop policy around to bring to the provincial government? I think it was just the one part. Danielle, am I right? Yep.
Kind of long. It was just one. It seemed like there were two parts. It was one.
Oh.
Just one part.
Communication.
I think one issue we face here on PEI as a province, not just as a university, but as a province, is retention of skilled young people, especially those educated at the university level. And I'd like to propose a solution, actually, in addition to the issue that we face. We have something that's called the Graduate Mentorship Program on PEI, which essentially is a partnership between the government and a private sector business, whereby the government subsidizes the employment of a recent university graduate. And now currently that's only open to island residents. And I think I have a problem with that personally because, I mean, almost 30% of students at UPEI come from off-island. They're not eligible for this program, even when they graduate 4 or 5 years later. So I think I'd like to expand that program to include those who come from off-island. And certainly I'd also like to promote that program is up and running, by the way. So for those of you who are from the island in here, certainly consider the Graduate Mentorship Program as a way to kind of get your foot in the door in terms of starting your career after you graduate, because I know it is hard.
Great, thank you very much to Danielle for the question. Thanks very much, guys. Anyone else have a question for the two candidates? Sure.
Now, when I'm thinking about being an arts representative, I'm setting a vision in place, and it's working close with people now and then working on what that role will be. So, both of you having experience working with the student body, knowing what the executive is, what is your vision for what you can do with the role, or even just the goals that you're setting for what you can do as the VP executive?
We'll start with Travis.
That's a very broad question. So just let me clarify, we're talking about the vision that we have for the position of executive.
Well, when you go in, when you walk in there, what are you going, like, what do you want to do? I mean, you can just fill a role and be a body in a position, or you can have a dream about, these are the things I want to do, and I'm a dreamer, so I want to know what your dream is as well.
So kind of like goals for
exactly
what we want to do when we get in.
Exactly.
If we get in. Yeah.
I hope you plan on winning, right? So it's like, what will I do with this?
Well, certainly, I had a question today about the first things I would do if I were elected. And certainly those things would be in lobbying and advocacy, networking, and having the connections is key. The first thing I would do is start meeting with officials on campus, start meeting with senior bureaucrats in the provincial government, the minister if possible, start connecting with people from CASA and building those connections that we need to lay the foundation for what the Exec VP needs to do throughout the year. The second thing I would do is start to work right away in the lobby document, because when that lobby document is finished, that's what's going to carry us throughout the year when we go to government, the provincial government rather, and say, this is what we want and here's why we want it, and this is why students want it. So certainly making the connections necessary to do the job and starting right away on that document that needs to be with us throughout the year.
Excellent, thank you.
Well, my goals for if I was elected would be to first start office hours, open to the public, where you can come in, ask anything you want to know, and I will get you an answer as fast as possible. And secondly, I would be talk with faculty heads about that co-op program I mentioned earlier and expanding it beyond the business, physics, computer science, and nursing faculties, because unemployment, it really is one of our largest problems in the province. Everyone in PEI is currently looking for a job, and there's just not enough jobs to fill it up. Thirdly would be communicating with the government and getting to know what needs to be done.
Thank you.
And we have another question here, so I'll pass the mic over.
All right. Yeah. On behalf of the student body, I'd like to ask you guys why students, especially in the science department, are having trouble registering for courses they're interested in. Secondly, why a lot of the summer courses going to be cut, and what your plan and vision is going to be to change that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, are we clear on the question, guys?
So it's
The question is why a lot of courses, why is a lot of funding being cut to the science department, and also what you're going to do to change all these cutbacks, and why students are having trouble registering for courses they're interested in.
Okay, and we'll start with Josh.
Well, I feel like the biggest reason why the science department is getting reduced funds is because of the 3% operating budget cutback we received last year, and the fact that I believe the payroll of faculty is rising next year. So that would be the university just not having funds to pay all of this stuff, which is why our tuition rises every year. As for classes not being available, that would just be us not having enough professors to teach them when they would be available. And the third part was summer courses, yes?
I think the last part was what do you plan to do to prevent that in the future? Is that right? Okay.
What I would, that is a tough one. Because it is all the availability of the professors, and if they are not doing research and just being available, so talking with professors, getting them to be more available while still continuing their research would be something that could be done.
Great, and Travis? Oh, sorry. Yes, you can clap. Yeah, sorry. Didn't mean just to swell the clapping. Okay, and Travis.
Absolutely. You know, the reason we're seeing, you know, cuts to course offerings, cuts to courses in the summer, you know, reduced services on campus, it all comes back to government funding and how UPEI handles cuts. You know, the provincial government funds roughly about half of UPEI's entire budget. You know, the budget's roughly 102 million. We get about 50 million in funding between the UPEI main campus and the Atlantic Vet College. When the government cuts, so certainly the reason you're seeing these certainly goes back to the 3% operating grant cut last year, the 400,000 that's coming this year, possible future cuts in the operating grant. There was a third part to your question, right?
How are you going to prevent it in the future?
Well, certainly I think we have to be proactive in telling government we can't handle these cuts. We can't handle these cuts without reducing things or cutting things that matter to students, rather.
Speaking of cutting things, not to cut you off, that's time for that question. That felt so good. All right, we have, I think we have 2 more questions from the floor. We have Daniel and Parker, so Daniel, you're closest, so you come on up here and ask your question. All right. And these are the last 2 questions we'll take from the floor, but as I said with the VP activities, feel free to ask them when you see them around campus or as well over Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever you want.
My question is sort of financially related. Sorry, there we go. My question is related to finances. I've heard the idea of a co-op program tossed around and our funding cuts being tossed around. There just isn't a lot of money kicking around in the university or the student union and government. So to both of you, specifically Josh with the co-op program, how do you plan to fund these initiatives?
Sorry, just before we answer that, if we could keep questions to all candidates or both candidates, that would be great, but I understand what you're coming from with there. So we'll let Travis answer as well, but I think we're starting with Travis. So Travis, you can answer first, and then we'll go to Josh.
Okay, so I'm a little bit of a catch-22 here because it's certainly not an idea that I've put forward. It's something I'd like to see the university take on their own. They're ultimately responsible for co-op programs, rather. I'm not sure I want to see the student union getting involved in funding co-op spots. I'd like to see jobs for students, but I'd like to do that in kind of a different way, which I've outlined on my Facebook page. If you'd like to go see how I would kind of deal with youth unemployment, so respectfully I'll kind of stay away from that question because it's not one of my ideas.
I agree that funding is a huge part of that, with getting people to take part in it. And while I do know that we have the technology to run it, it's just businesses, we'd have to approach them and plant the seed in their head. We could give you a limited supply of workers and they'd be on a set work term. We'd have them. They would have taken the co-op course that is currently required to be a co-op student. And I feel like it'd be more like asking. Yes. You have to get out there and ask. If you don't ask, nothing will happen.
Thank you very much for the question, Daniel, and thank you very much for the answers. And we'll take our last question from the floor right now.
So I could be wrong, but from what I gather from your position, you lobbied the federal and provincial governments for change. Correct? Did you hear me?
No.
From your position, you lobbied the federal and provincial government for change?
And municipal.
And municipal?
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's go provincial and federal, just to keep it simple. Can we go 2 or 3 things that you would lobby the federal and provincial government to change specifically that are measurable?
And we're starting with Josh.
One thing we can lobby with is to stop reaming the university with tax cuts. It's not helping us, it's not helping them. And that's very important. Another thing that would be lobbied would be, sorry. Yes. So yeah, lobbying the lack of tax cuts and operating budget cuts to the university. Secondly, just communicating, telling them that we care. Because if they don't know we care, they're not going to help us.
All right, and Travis, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'll put forward, I think, 3 solid kind of asks for government that it would be fantastic if they could fulfill. So we'll go provincial to start, and then we'll move federal. Provincially, I'd like to see the opening up of the graduate mentorship program to go not just for Island residents, but for any student who graduates from UPEI. It's vital that we give students who graduate from UPEI the opportunity to hopefully step right into a job or a career and kind of get their foot in the door, get that valuable work experience that's so important in the first few years after graduating. So if we take it federal, technically it's federally and provincially shared, but Canada student loans. I'd like to see PEI get rid of the consideration of parental income. Is there anybody in this room who applied for a student loan but couldn't get it because their parents made too much? Isn't that a bit ridiculous? Yeah, so I think that should be totally taken away because it works on the assumption that your parents are contributing to your education. And I know in my case, they're not. And I'm sure perhaps in some of your cases. So I'd like to get rid of that, the consideration of parental income in the assessment of your assets, which determines how much you get. And third, I'd like to kind of take away the, in Canada student loans, I'm probably about to go over time, but any vehicle you own over $5,000 dings you for how much you get to fund your education. And in a province like PEI...
Yeah, that's time, Travis. Okay. I'm sure he'd love to tell you more about that afterwards over beer. All right, so thank you very much for the questions from the floor. I think they were great, and thank you very much to the candidates. You now have 30 seconds to kind of do a final call for why people should vote for you. So we'll start with Travis, then we'll move to Josh, and then feel free to mingle.
Well, thank you. The questions were excellent here, and I encourage anybody who wasn't able to get their question out to come onto the Facebook, on my group, or ask me in person, tweet at me, email me. You know, any way you can get in touch, I'll be happy to answer your question. In terms of me, I said it in my opening statement, but just the experience and the knowledge, and I think you've kind of seen the knowledge and the experience come out in this debate, and I hope you take that into consideration when you do vote next Tuesday and Wednesday. So thanks.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming here and asking these very good questions. If you do have any more questions for me, you can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, email me, or just even sitting out in the day lounge. I'm there most days. Find me, ask me. Well, I may not have as much experience as my opponent. I do bring fresh face, new ideas, and I feel that it works. Yeah. Thank you.
I hope somebody got a picture of that. That was precious. All right, how's everybody doing so far? Everybody have a drink, alcoholic or otherwise? If you don't, I recommend you get one, because we're about to start the presidential debate, which is, of course, my favorite part. So while you saunter up to the bar to get a drink and tip the lovely server and bartender, I will ask the presidential candidates to come up to the stage. All right. So I did want want to take this time to remind everyone that the candidates you've seen so far this afternoon will be participating, hopefully all of them, in what we like to call candidate karaoke. So that's happening tomorrow night at 9 p.m.? Yes. 9 p.m. I believe your hosts are dashing and full of personality. Hint, hint. So feel free to come on out. If you're 19 plus, I'm sorry. To those of you underage, I'm very sorry. But candidate karaoke is tomorrow night, and of course that's when you really decide who gets your vote. Okay, so you're used to the format by now. I hope I am and I don't mess it up again. I'll give each of the 3 candidates 30 seconds to introduce themselves, and then we'll move into the questions. Following the prepared questions, you'll have a chance to ask any of your own, so prepare them now and don't be shy. Okay, so first maybe we'll pick A, B, and C. How would you like to do this? Okay, A, raise your hand. B, C, perfect. All right. So we'll start with A. Go ahead, 30 seconds to introduce yourself.
Okay, so it's a good thing that I'm A, because my name is Anastasia. I'm in my 3rd year here in the biology program, minor in English or anthropology. We'll see which happens first. I'm running for president because I believe I have the skills that are necessary to succeed in this spot. Proven organizational skills, proven leadership skills. I have a great knowledge of the position. I've been on council since my very first year. I was a first-year rep, and I've been in Senate position for 2 years. So definitely I think I have the skills, I have the knowledge, and I have the organization. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Kelsey, and I'm a 4th-year anthropology major with a Spanish minor. I'm actually coming back next year to write my honors thesis, but I am formally graduating this spring. I wanted to run for president because I really felt that I want to make sure that everybody on campus has the ability and feels comfortable enough to say what they think they should say. I want to build a more inclusive campus and make things so that they're really open to everybody. I also, after 4 years here, I might not... Yeah.
Hello everybody, my name is Sarah Labers, and I'm a 2nd-year business student, a 4th-year UPEI student. That's what happens when you switch majors. And I have a political science minor, so I feel that that really helps out with this position. I am on the policy committee working group. I've been in every meeting except for one this whole year, and it's gotten me very familiar with the Constitution and the policy. And I've worked very well with Kate, and I'm the deputy chair of council, so I find that I've been observing, and now it's time for me to speak out.
Actually, it's not. That was 30 seconds. All right, so we'll jump right into the first question, and we'll do the same kind of format. Anastasia, Kelsey, and then Sarah. So, communication, or the issue of communication, has played a large role in this campaign so far. Keeping in mind that there's a Vice President of Communications, what will you do outside of supporting the VP Communications to be a president who communicates to the general student population?
So I think that one way I would approach communicating with the general student population is getting not only myself, but all the executives out of the office, onto campus, into classes if possible, talking with faculty, talking with department heads. I know that the current executive does meet regularly with the deans and the president, but I think it's important to go to the faculty level to talk to students. With past experience, I've been on the side of the Facebook, on the Twitter, on the YouTube, that side of things, and I think that the one-on-one contact is something that is very important as well.
So just before you answer, I just wanted to point out that the presidential candidates have 2 minutes to answer, and again, I would encourage you to take full use of that time. Sorry, Kelsey.
So I'm taking the same position, basically. Yesterday, I actually walked around and talked to students on campus, and more than just handing them a sucker and saying, "Hi, I'm Kelsey, I'm running for president," I sat down and I talked to them, and I found out what they want from the SU, from the university, and in general, what makes their life at UPEI better. That's something that I'm really pushing
as a presidential candidate, and something that I really want to do next year if I get into the position. I'd like to obligate all the representatives and all of the executives to set aside a certain amount of time each week where you actually have to walk, where they actually have to walk around campus and talk to the students. Not waiting for the students to come to them, not going to a class where a student doesn't have the ability to speak as freely, but walking into a lounge, into the library, into this building, and talking to the students. The second thing I'd like to do, and would like to do very shortly after moving into office if I'm elected, is to establish focus groups in which that students can come together and speak together on the issues that they feel are important. I realize that this might not be something that's really super popular at the beginning, but I think that if we open up enough that the students feel comfortable in voicing their opinion, that then in turn they will come to us more frequently with their opinion.
I know everyone here is, most of the UPEI, from PEI students have been involved in student elections in high school and stuff, and it's kind of more so a popularity contest, and I feel that that kind of rubs off when you come to university, and it's really hard to deal with that kind of thing. So I feel that I take the same stance as both of these candidates also do. I feel that the executive need to go out and talk to students, you know, having office hours in the WAVE. If the WAVE's open in the afternoon, that's something that we could do. Or, I don't know, there's lots of, having a bulletin board in every faculty lounge, that's the student union bulletin board, or at least in every building for each faculty in school. It's little ideas like this that can help, you know, for us to get to know students and help for us to communicate to students. And working with the VP Communications, I think ideas like that can be strengthened and worked upon as the year goes on.
All right, thank you very much for those answers. And on to the next question. So being the president of the UPEI Student Union means wearing a lot of different hats, and typically within the span of a day. And these include, but are not limited to, human resource issues, strategic planning, internal management, media relations, committee work, and on and on and on. Which area, and it doesn't need to be from one that I've listed, which area do you think you will struggle with, and how do you plan to overcome that? And we'll start with Kelsey, and then move to Sarah and Anastasia.
So, as I said before, I haven't sat on council, and I've never been affiliated with council during my 4 years here. So as such, I don't have as strong of a grasp with the internal workings of council or how to go about lobbying government. That's not something I know, and it's not something that the general student body knows. We don't know all the specifics, and we don't know how the day-to-day life of the SU runs. So learning that stuff is obviously going to be a hurdle that I'm going to have to overcome. But between now and when I would step into office, there's 3 months. I can take that time, and I will take that time, in order to learn the things that I have to learn. On top of that, I know I get to shadow, or whoever takes the position gets to shadow Kate for a week. So I feel that drawing on information and drawing on the experience of the other members is something that would really strengthen my ability to learn it, to move into that position. We're all university students. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have the capability to learn and adapt into a new position.
So I'm just going to repeat the question. So being the president of the UPEI Student Union means wearing a lot of different hats, usually in the span of a day. And these include, but are not limited to, human resource issues, strategic planning, internal management, media relations, and committee work, and on and on. So which area will you struggle with, and how do you plan to overcome that?
Being involved in the student union, can you guys hear me? I don't know. An issue that I would probably struggle with when it comes to my position would be the student apathy. I know it's been an issue that's come up a lot quite recently, and it is something that we need to work on. I think I have a very well-rounded view of the inner workings of UPEI. I worked for the Dean's Office at the Atlantic Veterinary College for a year and a half. I've dealt with the human resources issues and accounting and all of those other departments on campus, and I feel that that has strengthened my knowledge of how campus runs and how students see campus. A lot of my friends come up to me and ask me certain questions like, oh, where do I go to change my major or something like that, and I'd be able to tell them, and it's really nice that people can approach me and ask me these types of questions. Struggle with would probably be the student apathy more so than anything else, which is what every student union struggles with every year.
Okay, so I feel that my past experience as orientation coordinator has really prepared me for this job. I've played the hat of media, I've played the hat of communicating with deans and faculty, event planning, that sort of thing. I've been on council, so I do know how council works, and I've also been on committees. But I think the one thing that I would struggle with would be the provincial and federal lobbying. This isn't something that I've done before, but like the others had said, I'm certainly willing to educate myself, and I've already started to do so. I think that ways I would overcome this would be to do my research, work very closely with the VP executive, whoever that may be. I have a little bit of insight just in talking with Kate and being on her committee this year as to what some of the struggles the executive has had this year in working with our provincial government. So I think, although it is a hurdle that I will have to jump over, I can go into it with the skills that I need to succeed.
All right, so this time we're going to start with Sarah, move to Anastasia, and then finish with Kelsey. So, acknowledging the fact that 3 out of the 5 executive are elected, President being one of them, it kind of puts you on a level playing field, but the responsibilities of the President involve sometimes a little bit more than maybe a VP role would. So in your opinion, what is the role and responsibility of the President within your executive team and within council, and how do you plan to see that through?
Well, the role of the president, whenever you are the president, you become the chief returning, or the chief executive officer of the Student Union Incorporated, and you're also the head person, the head man, what everyone sees, what the media sees generally when it comes to the student union, and it's very important to take a professional role in that. I believe that when it comes to working with the executive, with the current executive positions, with the people that are running, I believe I'd be able to work very well with any of them. And I think showing them that I can give them leadership and that they can come to me for questions about whatever, and hopefully I can answer anything, or I can find them the answer, or ask different faculty members or previous presidents to help us with figuring out issues that come up day to day. Was that? Sorry.
The second part, just what do you see as your responsibility within the executive team, within council, and how do you plan to kind of work within that?
I feel that the president should show a great leadership role for the executive, and sorry, I'm not really good at this. I feel that showing them that you can. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. Sorry, I got it. Okay, that's. Do you have a question? No. No, it's time. Oh, it's time. Okay, perfect. There we go.
Okay, so acknowledging the fact that 3 out of the 5 executive are elected, just like you would be, what is, in your opinion, what's the role and the responsibility of the president within the executive team itself and within the council, and how do you plan to work within that?
Okay, so I think first off I'll start with the executives. The president plays a role as a leader in the executive committee. They work as a team, which I think is very important. But the president does have the knowledge and does have the communication with exterior resources and resources here on campus to lead the group. Also in council, the president acts as a resource. They don't run the meetings, but they do chime in when there is questions about policy, questions about constitution. The president definitely knows the most about the inner workings of the organization, in my opinion. The president is in contact with past presidents, past executive, which the other executive are welcome to do as well, but I think it's required of the president, in my opinion. I think that one way I would implement this is using my past experience with the orientation leaders and working with a team with them. Having been in the position for 2 years, I definitely learned my own leadership style and learned how to work as a team. I think that you could ask any one of the orientation leaders that from the 2011 season to the 2012 season, we certainly worked more as a cohesive group, and I would like to implement that not only with the executive, but with the whole council. We're not just a close-knit group of friends, but we're a group of people who works together and who needs to represent the student union and contact our students, and that starts with being a good team.
So, as Anastasia said, I also see the role of the president to be one of a leader, but it's also a balancing act, recognizing that the person who is president isn't the only one who's been elected in by the student body. It means that you have to take into account that the students want to hear just as much of the voice of the other VPs and the other representatives. So you have to be a leader, but you can't be. It has to be the type of leadership that Anastasia is talking about, where it becomes a cohesive team. On my part, I may not have Anastasia's already formed network of NSL leaders, but I do feel that I'm a very strong leadership. I have very strong leadership capabilities, and that I'm very personable. Working with the other executives and making sure that they have as much of a role in shaping what the school is something that I'm really, really geared towards doing. That said, the student body also plays as much of a role in deciding the factors and the direction of the student union as the student union itself does. The student union is a union. It is the collective voice of the students and isn't simply a leadership group, but needs to act as the focal point of the collective voice of the students and the collective opinion of the students.
Okay, for question number 4, we'll start with Anastasia, move to Kelsey, and then end with Sarah. So this question is about representation again. The constituency you're hoping to represent is very diverse. Is there one population of students that you see as underrepresented or not as sufficiently supported as others? And how would you remedy that?
Okay, so I think that looking at our student body as a whole, I think that our international students are growing in population, and I think it's a great thing. It's great to have students from PEI and students from off of PEI. I'm from New Brunswick myself. But having voices from all over the world is important to UPEI as well. I think that we need to support our international students a lot more, and the university is taking steps toward that with the international office. But supporting these students when they arrive on campus. There is an international orientation. It needs a lot of work. I think that also working with the student union and the student buddy program to make that program a lot better and more cohesive. Easy to follow, easy to get involved. Yeah, I think definitely working more with our international students, asking them what they need. They're coming from a different country, and I think asking them for their opinion on what would have been helpful coming to our culture would be a good way to start.
Always speak from multiple cultural groups. So as Anastasia said, I feel like there needs to be
more emphasis put on the international students, in that the different cultural groups need to be as strongly and equally represented within student union. But another group of students that I feel really need attention and are seriously underrepresented are those students who aren't at the top of their class. The students who struggle for their marks, the students who work really hard. Oftentimes, because they work harder or have to work harder or spend more time working towards their grades, they don't have the time or the ability to get involved in these sorts of extracurricular activities. I'd like to make sure that the students who aren't necessarily at the top of their class, the students to whom that school doesn't come naturally or who have a harder time managing their time, are as equally represented within council, because they take a totally different look on what their school experience is than the students for whom school comes naturally.
Sorry. I agree with both of these lovely ladies. International students are quite underrepresented on council, and it is an unfortunate fact. I actually had when I was giving out stickers and putting up signs, I was talking to an international student, and I just approached her and I was like, "Hey, I'm Sarah, I'm running for president," and she was like, "Oh, I don't vote." And I was like, "Well, why don't you vote?" She goes, "Well, I don't feel like you guys represent me. What do you guys do for me?" And I was trying to explain. She goes, "Well, I've never heard of any of these things. You know, I'm always around the library, I'm always around the business building, but still there's nothing that I notice." Like, apparently she had said, because I had asked her like what sort of things she'd like to see, and like, for instance, having better outlines on how to update your work visa, or having forums, because they used to, but they didn't this year apparently, like a seminar on how to do income tax and stuff like that. It's things like this that international students can struggle with, because they are new to this country and they don't understand the government and the structure in general, and they need somebody that they can come to help answer this. I know the Society of International Students does help with those kinds of things, but she wasn't even involved in that. So, I mean, it's just trying to go and reach out to these students who you see around all the time, but you might not know, or you might not say hi to. You know, it's just, sorry. Woo!
All right, question number 5. Kelsey, Sarah, then Anastasia. So, I can say this because you can blame me at the end of it. Our student union businesses have not been as financially successful in the past few years as they could be. What do you see as the next steps for fiscal recovery, and who do you think is involved in that process?
We actually had this discussion and question posted to us by Daniel the other day on Facebook, so kind of outlined it there. But I recognize that, I guess primarily, I assume it works with the most money. The WAVE hasn't been the most financially stable over the last few years. One thing I would like to do is to open up the financial information a little bit more to the students so that they have a perspective on what's going on with the SU and with the SU businesses. The first thing I would actually do is open it up so that more students can get involved. I feel like if we're going to work to save our businesses, we have to find out what's not currently working. Why aren't students coming into the WAVE? Why aren't our other businesses gaining money? And I feel like the market that we really have been trying to tap is the students, and obviously there's some sort of disconnection there where the students aren't coming for some particular reason. So we have to find that out. I'd address that through going and actually talking to the students and getting the representatives and the executive involved in doing so. Another avenue I would really like to pursue is getting the students involved in running our businesses. I realize that we've currently separated the VP activities and the staff management, and I'm not saying that we should in any way impose the SU upon the management of the different services. However, I think that we have untapped potential in our School of Business on campus who have the knowledge and who have a serious foundation for how businesses work. I think that on campus we have a lot of very intelligent, very bright people who have knowledge and who have ideas on how we can make these businesses work, and who know what they want to see. And so by talking to them and addressing them directly and inviting them to become and help us out, I think that we have a great potential there. The other thing is to open up our market more. Right now, particularly, sorry.
You are next.
Okay, so the wave has been a huge issue with losing money, and it's become quite public to all students, and students are asking questions about it and what we can do about it, what we can do as a student union to not lose the money that they spend each semester or each year on student fees for the student union. And it's the little things. It's like, it's getting the VP activities to give out a few free drink tickets to society heads so that gets them in here, or giving students, like societies, the door, all the door profits. Just because when they come, like especially because this international society is so big, if you allow them to use those resources, they'll come in, they'll bring all their friends, they'll have drinks here, because a lot of them live close to the university. It's something that we need to tap into, and I feel that the wave should be open in the afternoon so that students who, I don't know how many times I've walked past here at lunchtime and I've wanted to sit in the student center and there's no places to sit. So if this was open, I would totally come in here and have a beer and maybe have some wings and just study all afternoon. And I think that's one of the aspects that we need to see come to the student body and to the student union. Thank you.
Yes, I can. So our businesses, our student union businesses, have not been as financially successful as they could be in the past few years. What do you see as the next steps for fiscal recovery, and who plays a role in that?
Okay, so the wave is a big part of the loss of money that's going on in the student union right now, but there is other causes. There's the new sandwich kiosk, there's the cadre, and I think that although they're small, it's a good place to start. Perhaps outsourcing some of the writing to the cadre to student classes. We don't have a journalism class that I know of, but we do have students who come from Holland College that are in the journalism program. Perhaps talking to these students and getting them to write pieces as part of a class requirement. The cadre is often looking for volunteers to write. Why don't we tap into some of the courses that we have? Another option that I know we have discussed in council, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it though. No? Okay. But perhaps opening up the doors, allowing students to come in here earlier during the day. Asking students why they don't come to the wave. Students come here to study. The engineering office behind you there, they have their own sign. What would draw more students in? Perhaps more mature students, students from different faculties, what would make them interested in coming here? So yet again, it goes back to the talking. Asking students why they don't come here, and yeah, just talking, I guess. It's a bad answer, sorry.
All right, the last prepared question for this afternoon, and then we'll take questions from the floor. I hope there's lots of them. All right, we'll start with Sarah, then Anastasia, then Kelsey. So when students vote for a candidate, they're essentially hiring you for the position. So why should the student body of UPEI hire you over the other candidates?
Okay, this is a question that I'm sure I had assumed was going to get asked in the first place. I believe that I know I'm very familiar with the Constitution and with the policy, and this is something that the President needs to know, because people will come to her and ask her questions about it, and you have to be able to answer those questions. I believe that being a business student, I can bring a new view onto maybe how running the wave and working with the VP Finance and the VPA. I believe that I have shown good leadership. I was involved in the National Student Commonwealth Forum for 3 years, which is held in Ottawa. It's kind of like the Mall UN. You may or may not have heard of it. And it's just it's a leadership, like dealing with students and preparing them for referendum questions and things like that. I have knowledge in how to. Sorry. I believe that I can bring this knowledge to the student union, and I know the inner workings of council, how it should be run. I've helped with the student council retreat and creating the slides and everything for it. Me and Alex worked on it together, and I believe that this really strengthens my opportunities as well. And yeah.
Okay, so why should you vote for me? Like I really quickly highlighted in the beginning, I believe I have all the skills that are necessary. I have the experience. I've worked with Kate on the President's Committee this year. I've been on council for 3 years in my first year position and then in Senate Rep for 2 years. And I have experience with the necessary skills. So organization, be it with organizing an orientation for counselors, be it organizing meetings, be it organizing events, be it organizing meetings with faculty. I've got the communication skills. The role of the president is not to do the Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that. That is the role of the VP Communications. But the president is the voice of the student union for the media, and I have had experience with that, both through new student orientation and in my experience with Shinorama. I've had experience with different events on campus. I've been involved in Shinorama. I've also been a member of committees here on campus, exterior from the student union, as well as societies, that sort of thing. So definitely the skills that are required to do a good job in the position. Obviously there is things I need to learn, I'm not going to deny that. The policy, the Constitution are things that I do need to learn, as well as lobbying, but I believe that with doing my research and collaborating with the VP Executive, which is their main focus, I think that we can do a good job not only from the internal workings of the student union and with working with the university, but also on the federal and provincial front. Thank you.
So I don't have the experience that the other two candidates have in terms of working with the SU, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the capabilities. I've worked and sat as the president of the Social Science Society for 1.5 years, and so I do have an understanding of the issues that we believe we are facing, whether or not those are the issues that the students feel that we're facing. Beyond that, I also have the time to put in. I'm kind of in the odd position where I'm finishing the majority of my degree this year, and all I have to do next year to do my honors conversion is write my honors thesis. So while I realize that the president is limited in the number of courses they can take anyways, I have the capability to put in the time that's needed to make sure that we're achieving the goals that we set for ourselves. I'm also extremely committed to making sure that every student's voice is heard. If it's going to take me 6 hours a week to walk around campus and talk to students, that doesn't bother me. I love talking to students, and I love making sure that their voice is heard.
All right, do we have any questions from the now thinning floor? We do. Come on up here. Prepared questions. Woohoo! Can I get a clap for that, please? The crowd is thinning, but I would like some applause. Thank you.
It's scholarship season, and financials are usually a big deal for all students. But I was just wondering, as an out-of-province student, I've noticed that there are very few that apply to non-islanders. And I was just wondering what, if anything, you would change if you were to become president, to create more of a universally indiscriminate opportunity.
Thank you very much. And I think the format here is Anastasia, Kelsey, and then Sarah.
Okay, Okay, so as a non-island student myself, I definitely agree with you. It is frustrating. When you apply to UPEI, you are entered for entrance scholarships, but what do you do after that? I think that a good place to start would be to start with lobbying the provincial government to reduce the cutbacks to the university so that more scholarships can be involved. Talking to local businesses, talking to local charities, that sort of thing. Not charities, I mean business heads. Should work on more implementations of scholarships. But maybe there's definitely scholarships there. Perhaps our students don't have the best chance at getting them. So maybe offering our students more opportunities to heighten that resume, heighten that application so that they do have the best chance of all students that they possibly can to get that scholarship if they are from North Island.
So I am an island student, so I've reaped that benefit, but I don't necessarily think that benefit is fair at all. I'd like to see a change so that the money that's coming from government is more evenly distributed between all of the students. Another thing I'd like to work on is making not all scholarships are necessarily funded by government, but I do come from a department that has one scholarship for the entire department. So I'd like to see and make more public connections and more connections with businesses, and to find out where the money can come from in order to establish scholarships for those departments and for those schools that are underrepresented, because there's obviously some that have more opportunity to get scholarships than others. The other thing is to work on something that Travis mentioned earlier, where we look at the regulations that are in place for student loans and start lobbying in that direction. I'm an island student who got turned down for a loan because her parents make too much money, but my parents in no way have helped and aided to the payment of my education. It's all coming out of my own pocket. So I feel that in order, we need to change something for those students who are on the line, who don't qualify for scholarships because they're not designated as in need, but at the same time don't have any money coming in from any other sources.
I am not an out-of-province student. I'm born and raised 25 Road Drive, right up the road. I don't think it's just a problem with out-of-province students. I find, as Kelsey said, she has one scholarship. I mean, look at poli-sci. There's not very many poli-sci scholarships either. That's one of the problems I had for the last 3 years, and it's all general arts, more so than specific political science scholarships. And it's hard because a lot of the scholarships come from people donating money and bursaries, and it's more of a proactive thing. We do have to go out and we do have to ask people, we do have to ask the business community. Even like if you ask the provincial governments from each province if they could maybe set up a scholarship with us, and it's just little ideas like that that can help. And I believe working with the VP exec and all the other executive members and with counselors to go out and try to find these connections, and with our business society. I mean, I'm sure there are tons of people with lots of money that are involved in the business society, so that's another place that you can milk as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think we have another one here. Oh, two. Perfect.
So, along the lines of the last question, often out-of-province students transfer out of UPEI due to feelings of being forgotten amongst Islander students, and international students, we kind of get forgotten. So I was just wondering what you would do during your presidency to change that and make everyone feel a little more included.
Cool. And we will start with Kelsey and then Sarah and Anastasia. Is that right?
So this goes along the lines of the entire platform that I'm running on, but I feel that even more so than just making sure that the SU itself is open to all the students, that the student body needs to be more open. And the way to start that is to start by talking to people. If we end up talking to enough people and getting people involved, then people will feel more like they are placed within our community. And I'm really big on building that sense of community among the students. As you said, oftentimes we hold specific programs or events for international students. I think it might be something to look into having events However, saying that, I in no way want to imply that they're a separate group from the rest of campus, because it's really an issue of just making everybody feel like they're one cohesive whole. As somebody who comes from a family like that's from away, I do understand the issue of the kind of island mentality. If you're from away, you're always from away. And I've heard a lot from my friends and from my international friends that it's very, very hard to integrate here. I think it's an issue of just making sure that culturally and socially we all make the change and we're all aware of the differences, and that some people just feel excluded and you need to go up and talk to them.
As Kelsey said, the general consensus of the island is that you're not from here and you never will be, and it's an unfortunate fact that people say that, and some people see it as a joke, but it shouldn't be seen that way. I have a lot of international student friends, a lot of friends from away. I've just gone out and talked to these people and become their friend. Like, it's not like they're any different than us, you know what I mean? Student from Calgary, you know, even though she's not from here, she is still just as viable as my friend Maria, you know what I mean? It's just, it's an unfortunate mentality, and I believe that one of the ways that we can is obviously going out and talking to students and getting counselors to go up and talk to students and showing them that they can come to us if they need a friend, or if they need somebody to talk to, if they feel that they aren't welcome here, then we want to make them welcome, and we don't want students to feel like that. I couldn't imagine how any student would feel like that going to their university. It must be really hard, and it would not be. It's not the student university life that the student union is trying to bring to everybody. Anyway, thanks.
Can I get you to repeat the question for me, please?
It's just oftentimes out-of-province students will transfer back to their province because they feel alienated amongst the islander and all the programs that are for international students.
Okay. So definitely I think that there's mentality. We can't really deny that there is one. But I think that a good place to start is starting from the beginning. Obviously it's too late to start with third years, but I know that in orientation week we are really trying to focus on integrating everyone together, international, off-island, from island, all together as one. And I think that continuing that on into the upper years, for years to come, is important. Council is something that does that, but there's only a certain number of council positions. So having events that focus on meeting someone new. So you met someone new, that person's going to go meet someone new too. So having events like that. International buddies is a good way to work on this. Island students, off-island students, meet international students. That's a cohesive group. I think that it's important to talk to students about this, see what the opinions are of students who are from off-island, who are from international, but also to get the opinion of those who are from PEI. How do they feel like they could communicate more with students who aren't from Prince Edward Island? And I think that in the end of the day, we all need to acknowledge that we are UPEI students, doesn't matter where we're from, and that at the end of the day, we're all Panthers.
All right, repeat offender, excellent.
Yeah, I just have a simple question. On behalf of the student body, what will you do to create jobs on and off campus? But most importantly, what will you do to empower students as an executive to create their own jobs and businesses?
All right, and that is Sarah, Anastasia, Kelsey.
The student union offers quite a few student jobs. I think about 60. Is that a little high? Maybe. Anyways, The student union does offer student jobs. There's lots of, like, I know before I had my job, I was constantly looking on the campus student job site. I used to work in the dean's office, so I used to update it all the time, and there's tons of jobs that come through there. It's things like that that students don't necessarily know about, and that they should try to take advantage of, and the student union should promote those types of things. And I think talking with professors, having research positions, or even possibly I know this was spoken about before, but not necessarily a co-op program per se, like the business, physics, and computer science programs have. More so something that if you know somebody, like there's so many unused resources that we have on campus, from speakers that come, or sessionals, or professors, and they all know people from away or from here that can offer students jobs. And trying to form some sort of resource for students to go to look for these jobs should be a priority, I believe, because graduating from university, we should offer you something that you can take with you, not necessarily just a piece of paper that's worth $30,000 or however much you spent here. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It was actually one that was posted on the Facebook groups a couple days ago. And my standpoint on it was that money is tight, so it is hard to create jobs here on campus. The Student Union does a great job of offering jobs for students through the cadre, through working as chair, stuff like that, and here in the WAVE itself. But on the university as a whole, it is hard to create more jobs when there isn't money to pay the people. So my standpoint was that, yes, we can talk to businesses, we can talk to professors to work with them with research positions, and continuing all the jobs that we have and offer here through the Student Union. But also giving students the tools they need to get those jobs when the opportunity does arise. We've got a career services center. Why not use it? Why don't we bring it out, make it more exciting? Let students know that it's there, make use of it. Give students the opportunities to grow their skills, so leadership skills, communication, that sort of thing, by working with the Student Union as a group, so that you have something on your resume, so that when that resume crosses someone's desk, it's not just someone with a master's or a bachelor's degree in science, arts, business, whatever it may be. It's someone with that degree, but all of these other qualifications as well, and that's something that we can control the budget to an extent, but not all that well, but we can control what students get out of what we offer. And so let's offer some more things that will give them the skills they need to succeed.
We're all at UPEI because we want a particular type of job. We want a job that opens us, or we want to have the education that opens us up to a particular field. So I'm not going to suggest that we should move towards other types of jobs. And I've heard that, we've all heard the argument that you should get into a trade now because you'll get a job rather than a university degree. A university degree, what it does is it teaches you the theoretical basis that you need to have the job that you want. So what we need to work on is bridging that gap between the theoretical practice that we learn in our classes and the practical skills that employers are looking for in today's job market. Co-op programs and research assistant positions are really great ways of doing that, and we all recognize that. I recognize the fact that there are a whole lot of bureaucratic, administrative, and financial issues with creating more of those types of positions and programs, but there's something that we do need to look at because they're one of the areas where students, such as myself, who are in a position where you can't get a job off campus using your degree, can get experience within the field that they've chosen to spend the rest of their life in. Beyond that, as the girl said, we should be opening ourselves up to exploring the programs that we currently have in place, such as the job fairs that go on every year, and I guess you said there's some sort of job office thing that gives students information on jobs. Students don't know these things. I got my last job through the job market fair that went on here in the spring.
But most students, we have to face a fact, don't access these services because they don't know about them. So as much as we have to go out and talk to businesses and talk to other services in order to create jobs for our students, we also have to talk to our students and inform them and ask them what they're looking for. What sort of service do they want that would help them find a job?
And I think we have one last question, and then we'll let the girls down off the stage and grab a beer or something.
Okay, I just want to find out because we all are aware that you guys are aspirants for the post of president, and so the main and basic function of you guys is to represent us as a student body as a whole. So I want to find out what you guys are willing to bring to the table in light with creating financial aid structures for international students. Financial aid structures, immediate financial aid structures for international students.
So that would be something along the lines of helping with.
And that's Anastasia, Kelsey, and then Sarah.
That's a really great question. I think that it falls along the lines of the other scholarship questions that we have had or heard today. In acknowledging as a university that we do have more students who are coming from international international locations, and allocating scholarship funds to them. That's something that I think we need to work on as a whole, not only from the standpoint of Canadian students, but allocating that scholarship funding to everyone. Obviously, I don't know a whole lot about lobbying international locations for scholarship funding. That's something that definitely reaches beyond my knowledge. But I think a good place to start would be to lobby our provincial government and federal government for supporting the students who we are bringing in from other countries. So, as I said before, before we can address these kind of financial issues, we need to make sure that the students who are coming to us with these issues are we need to make sure that we're aware of the position of the students. So the first thing I would do is approach them and find out what exactly the issue is. Is there not enough scholarships, or is there an issue with them not being able to access the scholarships, or not knowing about the scholarships, or not knowing about other methods of funding? The other thing I would like to do is to make sure that the different cultural groups within our university have adequate representation within the SU so that they and their voice is being strongly heard. Beyond that, I'd have to look at what logistically and administratively is going on for these positions, or for these types of things not to be created or not to be known of. Obviously, financials are really tight, so we'd have to find the money somewhere, but I'm willing to give it my time and my dedication and every resource that I can pull in to make sure that every student is adequately financially represented.
I find in the 4 years that I've been here that the International Society is a little bit distant from the student union, and this is not something that should be the case. We should be working with the International Society to find out these problems, to hear about it, to talk about it in council, to bring it up, to try and create solutions with everybody as a collective, not just me or the president or the International Society. They need to be able to come to us, and we need to find their answers for these things. It does pertain a lot to the whole scholarship issue. It's hard. Like, this money is generally donated by people who have certain specific guidelines on who they want to be able to receive it, and that is unfortunate. But trying to, I don't know, go to, it would be tough to go to the governments of the international regions that people are from to try and see if they can give us money or scholarship money, but there should be something that we could kind of work out with the Canadian government even, or I know there are scholarship funds that you can get if you're leaving Canada from the Canadian government, and I'd have to look into it. There might be more that you can receive whenever you're coming in from an international standpoint to a university here that you can have access to, and it's things like this that we need to be able to communicate to the international students that they need to be aware of, so we can bring that to them. Thank you.
Well, all right. That's the last question from the floor. Thank you to everybody who asked questions, prepared them. That's fantastic. Thank you to those of you who have stuck around through this whole thing. We really appreciate it, and good on you for really taking an interest in this, whether they paid you to be here or not. So, with that in mind, candidate karaoke is tomorrow night. Like I said, the hosts are very pretty, and
another beer.
Yeah, and basically, I just want to say thank you so much, and keep this interest coming. The campaign is not over yet, so I'll put all the candidates through their paces and really take some time and get to know what they're really doing. And on that note, I will give them 30 seconds each to do a little outro, and then I'll release them to the crowd. So, I think we will go Kelsey, Sarah, Anastasia. Okay?
This might be a little bit corny, but a friend brought to my attention a quote this morning that I felt really kind of spoke to what I'm aiming to do. It says, "What should young people do with their lives today? Many things, obviously. But the most daring thing is to create stable, loving communities in which the terrible disease of loneliness can be cured." And that's really what I want to go for with this campaign, is to establish a community where everybody feels comfortable and where everybody's voice is heard.
I believe that the student body should be represented by a strong leader, by someone who they can come and approach, someone who's sitting around in the wave, not sitting up in their office all day, someone who they can come talk to in the library. It's very important that students realize who the president is and what they do, and that they can come voice their concerns, that we can bring it to council, that we can make things, we can get things done. And I believe that I have the strong leadership skills that you were looking for. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so I think it's important for UPEI to vote for someone who has the experience that is required to do well in this position, but has the experience so that they can start moving forward, and someone who acknowledges what the problems are. I think I'm that person. I think I have the skills that I need to step into this position and start moving forward, start making things happen, as opposed to backpedaling and understanding how the organization works and what's going on. That being said, if you have any questions about what I want to see for the student union and any questions that you may have, you can get in touch with me on Twitter or Facebook. Thanks.
Once again, thank you very much for coming. Stick around, get some nachos, and candidate karaoke is tomorrow night, 9 p.m.